Good evening, viewers. This is the QTV Nightly News, which is also on Q Radio 103.3 FM, and I am Mamna Buka. Thank you for joining us. Here are the headlines. The Speaker of the National Assembly of Lesotho, the Right Honorable Lohang Sekamane, and his delegation today paid a courtesy call on President Barrow at the State House in Banjul. The First Lady of the Gambia, Her Excellency Madam Fatoumata Barrow, accompanied by the visiting First Lady of Gabon, Her Excellency Zita Oligui Nguema, launched the Building Resilience campaign for women and girls in the face of climate change and conflict in the Gambia. Addressing the Pan-African Parliament, the Gambia has joined the majority of African Union members and the African Union to condemn xenophobic attacks against foreign nationals in South Africa. The Gambia Immigration Department held a passing out ceremony for close to 600 officers following the successful completion of 6 months training. In international news, the African Union has called on member states to intensify disaster preparedness and strengthen early warning systems as climate experts warn there is a 90% chance of an El Niño event in 2026. Those and more coming ahead. Do stay with us. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now, the Speaker of the National Assembly of Lesotho, the Right Honorable Lohang Sekamane, and his delegation today paid a courtesy call on President Barrow at the State House in Banjul. Following the meeting, Honorable Sekamane spoke to journalists. Here is an excerpt by Babukar Sise.
We are here on a mission organized jointly by the governments of the Gambia and the UNDP and also the government of Lesotho. The point being that the Gambia has made big strides in its partnering with the UNDP in terms of the government development finance. So we came here to come and learn from the Gambia to see how we can also use the same kind of partnership for the development of our people in Lesotho, in the same way that the people of Gambia are beginning to gain dividends from this program, which is championed by the president himself. And I wanted to come here and to thank him for leading that program with the vision and passion that he's doing. And that is exactly what I said to him.
The First Lady of the Gambia, Her Excellency Madam Fatoumata Barrow, accompanied by the visiting First Lady of Gabon, Her Excellency Zita Oligui Nguema, on Sunday launched the Building Resilience campaign for women and girls in the face of climate change and conflict in the Gambia. Jacqueline Coley has the details.
This national launch follows the continent-wide initiative, Building Resilience for Women and Girls in the Face of Climate Change and Conflict, which was launched by the Organization of African First Ladies for Development in September 2025 on the sidelines of the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly. The campaign aims to explicitly counter the escalating vulnerabilities women and girls experience as environmental instability intensifies. First Lady Fatoumata Barrow emphasized that local and global stakeholders must work collectively to move policy into action, emphasizing the vulnerability of women and girls in climate and conflict.
Climate change affects everyone. Women and girls are often the hardest hit. Many women depend on farming, fishing, gardening, and small businesses for their livelihood. When crops fail, our flood destroy homes and markets, women lose income, families struggle, and children suffer.
Madam Barrow highlighted the importance of continuing to empower and support women.
For when we protect women, we strengthen families, communities to make our nation stronger and more resilient. As we officially launch this campaign today, allow me to renew my promise to ensuring that no woman, no girl is left behind in our response to climate change and conflict, while counting on your continuous support.
Operating under OFLAD's 2025-2027 Continental Roadmap, the Gambian initiative focuses on 4 key pillars: health and well-being, economic empowerment, education, and prevention of gender-based violence. Here is Dr. Habibatou Drame, the Minister of Basic and Secondary Education.
We cannot build resilient but we can't build climate resilience. Nor can we secure lasting peace if our girls are left behind in the classroom. Education is our first and most durable line of defense. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education has moved beyond viewing education simply as literacy and numeracy. We view education as resilient building in real time.
Carl Frederick Paul, the United Nations Residence Coordinator, emphasized the importance of gender neutrality in discussions on climate change and conflict.
This campaign reminds us of a simple but profound truth: climate change and conflicts are not gender neutral. When flood destroyed the crops, when drought reduces food security, when communities are displaced, or when tension disrupts livelihood, women and girls often bear the greatest burden.
Hadija Tusise, an environmental researcher and climate change advocate, has this message for policymakers, stakeholders, and the public.
To our leaders, development partners, and fellow young people, my message is simple. Let us continue to build partnerships that turn communities into action. Let us build resilience for a better Gambia. Let us ensure that resilience reaches every village, every household, and every girl whose future depends on these decisions we make today.
The national launch of the Building Resilience campaign marks a critical turning point for gender-responsive climate action in the Gambia. By placing women and girls at the center of sustainability and security strategies, the initiative moves beyond emergency aid towards truth and lasting empowerment. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jacqueline Collie.
Addressing the Pan-African Parliament, the Gambia has joined the majority of African Union members and the African Union as an institution to condemn xenophobic attacks against foreign nationals in South Africa, noting that every human being deserves respect and dignity. Usman Jatta tells us more.
More than 176,000 foreign nationals have been driven out of South Africa following repeated outbreaks of xenophobic violence, with thousands more displaced over the years. The numbers reflect a long-running challenge that has affected migrants from across the continent as tensions over unemployment, poverty, and economic hardship continue to fuel anti-immigrant sentiments in some communities. At the Pan-African Parliament, the National Assembly member for Upper Salom, Al-Hajimbo, warned that attacks against foreign nationals threaten the dream of a united Africa.
It is very sad. I've been here for 9 years, and this is the second time we have such a conversation in this parliament, all because of Africa fighting against Africa. Where exactly are we going to? Honorable Speaker, I remember in my university days in the United States, my calculus teacher, Dr. Manare, an excellent human being, was South African. Today, my daughter working in the United States, a citizen, is working also with 2 South Africans also as co-workers. That tells you something very clear, that the world comprises of different nationalities from different across the board. You remember also in Mali, when you go in the mines, you go to Ghana in the mines, we have a lot of our own brothers who are South Africans. Honorable Speaker, we need to remember this. There is no particular country in this world where you can stand and say, only my citizens are in this country. And I respect the laws of every single country. I respect that.
Xenophobic violence in South Africa has been a recurring crisis for decades, with one of the most serious outbreaks recorded in 2008, which resulted in 62 deaths, over 770 injuries, and the displacement of more than 100,000 people. Since then, several incidents have resulted in injuries, deaths, displacement, and the forced return of some migrants to their home countries. While some groups blame migrants for economic challenges, critics say the issue requires deeper solutions that address unemployment, inequality, and social tensions. Honorable Mbow said governments across Africa must work together to tackle the causes of xenophobia and protect people regardless of their nationality.
We must treat our own brothers, not only Africans, but we must treat our own human beings as human beings. But governments have a responsibility. You cannot stand and watch ordinary citizens on the streets asking somebody, let me have your ID. Is that the responsibility of an ordinary person? Somebody has been paid to do that. So let's work together to ensure we stamp this out of this Africa, because it doesn't take us anywhere. It only takes us backwards. Africa is meant for the Africans. So let's work together and let's stand on one another and just stop what's happening in South Africa here, because it's not the benefit of the African people. It's against our own development.
The African Union has repeatedly condemned attacks against foreign nationals, calling for dialogue, stronger laws and public awareness to promote peaceful coexistence. Osman Jatta, QTV News.
The Gambia Immigration Department has held a passing out ceremony for 599 officers following the successful completion of 6 months of intensive training. The intake 16 are expected to contribute to strengthening border management, migration control and national security efforts. Lolem Kamara attended the ceremony and she now reports.
The colorful ceremony brought together families, senior government officials, members of the diplomatic corps, security service chiefs, and well-wishers who were treated to an impressive display of precision, discipline, and coordination as Intake 16 showcased a spectacular passing out parade. According to the Gambia Immigration Department, the journey for these recruits began in February 2026 with a rigorous recruitment process designed to identify candidates of high competence, exemplary character, and unquestionable integrity in line with the department's reform agenda and commitment to professional excellence. The graduates receive training in food and arms drill, physical fitness, weapon handling and safety, immigration laws and regulations, border management, passport and travel document examination, refugee protection, document security, human resource management, public administration, and other specialized areas. Training Commandant Hatta Bojang congratulated the graduating officers, reminding them that the passing out ceremony signifies not only the end of their training journey, but the beginning of a professional career committed to protecting the integrity, security, and interests of the Gambia. Director General of the Gambia Immigration Department, Ibrahim Amboub, described the passing out ceremony as another important milestone in the department's ongoing transformation. He also announced the introduction of a newly designed uniform for pregnant female immigration officers, a move he said reflects the institution's commitment to inclusivity and the welfare of its personnel.
I am glad to say that the percentage of female representation in GID stands at 46.4%. As part of the National Security Reform Agenda initiatives on gender empowerment and support from the Ministry of the Interior, I pronounce today an introduction of a new set of uniform gear for pregnant women immigration rights.
The Permanent Secretary, the Ministry of Interior, Amadou Nyang, urged the newly commissioned officials to uphold the core values of integrity, professionalism, patriotism, discipline, and respect for human dignity throughout their careers.
The uniform you wear represents the authority of the state and the trust of the Gambian people. Carry out your duties fairly, impartially, and in accordance with the law.
The intake comprises professionals from various fields, including drivers, electricians, journalism and communication specialists, plumbers, mechanical engineers, masons, painters, state-registered nurses, nurse attendants, and air conditioning technicians. With the addition of close to 600 officials, the Gambia Immigration Department is expected to strengthen its operations, enhance professionalism, and improve its capacity to manage migration, border security, and national safety. The ceremony concluded with the presentation of awards to officers who excelled in various areas, including discipline, physical fitness, and self-defense. For QTV News, Loli M. Kamara.
That report by Loli M. Kamara will take us on a commercial break. When we return, we have more national and international news stories. Do stay tuned.
In today's world, speed matters, but slow internet can hold you back. Now, the future of connectivity has arrived in the Gambia. QCell's Q-Fiber, ultra-fast, ultra-reliable internet designed for the way you live. Stream your favorite shows without buffering. Power your business with seamless video calls. Study, work, and play online like never before. From homes to businesses, QCell Fiber is connecting the Gambia to the future. QCell's Q Fiber. Get connected today. Call 145 or 300-3779. QCell. We innovate, others follow.
Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, this is QTV News and I am Mamna Buka. Now on to the rest of our stories. The National Research and Innovation Fund, in collaboration with the African Center for Technology Studies, on Tuesday began a 3-day capacity strengthening workshop aimed at promoting efficiency and effectiveness in research and innovation funding in the Gambia. Yafatu Gay has the details.
The 3-day workshop provides a platform for research, dialogue, knowledge sharing and networking among stakeholders. Organizers say the initiative is expected to contribute to the advancement of education and research sectors and support national development. Here is Professor Mamadou Sala, the Executive Director of the NATIV.
The workshop invites us to think carefully about these institutional questions. How do we build funding systems that are credible, that are transparent, that are impactful? How do we promote excellence whilst ensuring fairness?
The workshop also seeks to strengthen grants management, promote collaboration and knowledge sharing among key research and innovation stakeholders, and enhance the effectiveness, transparency, and impact of research and innovation investments in the Gambia. Speaking on behalf of the African Center for Technology Studies, ACTS, Dr. Nicholas Odongo highlighted the workshop's core mission.
There's a lot of lessons and experiences we have gathered over the time, and that is what we are hoping to come and share with NARIF, being in its embryonic development stage. We are hoping those lessons will help you as you set up systems prof, even the staff, to know what to expect, some of the challenges you're going to meet, some of the practical ways we've seen people overcome them in the different countries.
Ibrahim Assal, the NATIV board chair, spoke about the funding's aspirations and its vision for strengthening research and innovation in the Gambia.
Research funding institutions do considerably more than allocate financial resources. They may or may not determine the research agenda or help in shaping it. What is important is that their actions, and through their actions and what they do, they influence the research agenda. They shape it by pushing what they get to push. In fact, it is with their interventions that research agendas are implemented.
Representing the Ministry of Higher Education, Edward Mendy highlighted the importance of strengthening the capacity of researchers and advancing research and innovation in the Gambia.
The knowledge, network, and practical skills gained here should translate into stronger institutions, higher quality research, and tangible solutions that improves the lives of our people. The Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science, and Technology remains fully committed to creating the enabling environment where research, science, technology, and innovation can thrive.
The workshop's outcomes are expected to enhance the quality and impact of research and innovation in the Gambia, helping to address national challenges and contribute to the country's development. Reporting for QTV News, this is Yafat Gay.
Coming up next is international news. The African Union has urged its member states to strengthen disaster preparedness and invest in robust early warning systems, as climate experts warn of a 90% likelihood of an El Niño event in 2026. The anticipated weather phenomenon is expected to bring severe weather conditions to parts of East and Southern Africa. More in this report by Lenisa Gomez.
The forecast El Niño event could bring widespread floods
droughts and humanitarian challenges across the continent in 2026. The appeal was made during an emergency ministerial meeting in Addis Ababa, where ministers and climate experts discussed coordinated strategies to reduce the expected social and economic impacts of the weather phenomenon. Climate scientists are raising concerns that Africa could once again face devastating weather conditions only a few years after the destructive 2023 to 2024 event. That earlier El Niño caused severe droughts and floods, destroying crops, killing livestock, and leaving millions of people across the continent in need of humanitarian assistance. Forecasts indicate that East Africa is likely to experience above-average rainfall between August and November, increasing the risk of flooding, while Southern Africa could face prolonged severe droughts from late in the year through early 2027. These conditions are expected to have significant consequences for agriculture, water resources, and vulnerable communities, making early preparation essential. Ethiopia, one of the countries expected to receive heavy rainfall, said government agencies and relevant stakeholders are coordinating preparations to reduce the effects of flooding on infrastructure, while also planning for the possibility of prolonged droughts later in the season. The African Union says preparedness levels differ across member states, but has brought together experts from the water, health, energy, and agriculture sectors to develop coordinated response strategies. It says strengthening early warning systems and improving preparedness across all sectors will be critical to reducing the impact of the expected El Niño on communities across Africa. Reporting for QTV News, I am Lenisa Gomez.
Also in international news, artificial intelligence is now being used in more than half of all reported cybercrime cases across Africa, enabling criminals to launch faster, more sophisticated and large-scale attacks, according to Interpol's African Cyber Threat Assessment Report 2026. Here's Aissatou Kamara.
The report, based on data collected from 36 African countries, found that 55% of reported cybercrime cases involved the use of artificial intelligence. With Africa recording more than 1.1 billion mobile subscribers in 2025, Interpol says increasing reliance on digital services has expanded opportunities for both innovation and cybercrime. According to the report, online scams remain the continent's most common cyber threat in 2025. Criminals are increasingly combining AI with social media platforms and mobile money services to deceive victims through highly convincing fraudulent schemes. Cybercrime-related financial losses also rose sharply, increasing from $192 million in 2024 to $484 million in 2025. Investigators attributed the surge to AI-powered fraud, stolen login credentials, and sophisticated social engineering attacks. Nearly 3/4 of Soviet countries also reported the presence of scam centers, particularly in West and Southern Africa. The report identified varying cyber threats across Africa's regions. East Africa continues to experience widespread mobile money fraud and ransomware attacks targeting critical infrastructure. West and Central Africa remain vulnerable to business email compromise and romance scams, while Southern Africa's advanced digital connectivity has made it an attractive target for international cybercriminal networks. Interpol warned that artificial intelligence is making cybercrime increasingly difficult to detect. Deepfake technology and AI-generated content are being used in digital sextortion and online harassment campaigns, with technology partner Trend AI identifying around 600,000 related sextortion cases. Criminals are also using AI to create convincing business emails and synthetic identities to open bank accounts, obtain loans, and register SIM cards while bypassing some biometric verification systems. The report highlighted weak coordination between banks, telecommunications companies, and law enforcement agencies as a major challenge, allowing criminals to transfer stolen funds across borders before authorities can intervene. Despite the growing threat, Interpol noted encouraging progress. 17 African countries introduced or strengthen cybercrime legislation in 2025, while coordinated international operations resulted in more than 1,500 arrests. The seizure of hundreds of electronic devices and the recovery of over $100 million linked to cybercrime. For QTV News, this is Aissatou Kamara.
That report by Aissatou Kamara brings us to the end of this bulletin, but before we go, here's a recap of the headlines. The Speaker of the National Assembly of Lesotho, the Right Honorable Lohang Sekamane, and his delegation today paid a courtesy call on President Barrow at the State House in Banjul. The First Lady of the Gambia, Her Excellency Madame Fatoumata Barrow, accompanied by the visiting First Lady of Gabon, Her Excellency Zita Oligui Nguema, launched the Building Resilience campaign for women and girls in the face of climate change and conflict in the Gambia. Addressing the Pan-African Parliament, the Gambia has joined the majority of African Union members and the African Union to condemn xenophobic attacks against foreign nationals in South Africa. The Gambia Immigration Department held a passing out ceremony for close to 600 officers following the successful completion of 6 months training. In international news, the African Union has called on member states to intensify disaster preparedness and strengthen early warning systems as climate experts warn there is a 90% chance of an El Niño event in 2026. That's all for this bulletin. Join us again at 10 p.m. for another bulletin. Thank you for watching.